All right, guys, I am back with the next episode, the next round of tips and tricks. My name is Brutal. Kick back, relax, and let's just get into it, shall we? One of the first things you're going to encounter in EverQuest Legends is the advanced loot window. And this window pops up when there's something to loot, sell, merge, or store. If something drops and I don't want to equip it, or if I don't want to merge it, or if I don't want to hold on to it, I'm auto-selling it. You right-click the name of the NPC, the 4 options pop down there, and you just pick what you want it to do. Auto-selling it does give you less platinum than if you looted it and ran to a vendor and sold it manually. It's just a huge quality of life improvement. It's a convenience, but you do get less platinum. Does that matter? It's up to you. I personally don't care. The economy in this game is going to be very different than most MMOs because you can only trade items once they drop. So there's no buying and selling and flipping. And moats right now, some moats, I think the 4 smallest moats are tradable, which means that are they going to be used as currency instead of plat? Are they going to be sold for plat? Again, that's not the point of this video, but I'm trying to give you context as to why, while platinum, of course, will matter, especially early on, you got to buy your spells and such. Once we get to the end game, how will the economy unfold? I don't know. I guess we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But auto selling is just something to keep your bags clear. When it comes to auto looting, auto merging, if I know I'm going to be equipping an item, I am going to auto loot it a lot of the times. Because especially early on, let's say I'm in a D2 instance, and let's use Baron and Corvin at the bottom of Befallen as an example. As I kill them and I'm getting more weapons off of each of them, using the Baron's Blade as an even further example, if I'm looting a +2 Baron's Blade, a +2 Baron's Blade, a +2 Baron's Blade, instead of combining multiple 2s together and only getting part of the way through a +3 build, I will take 2 +2s and I will elevate them with the moats, turn them into +3s, and then combine 2 +3s to equal +4. It's just a smart use of moats, especially early on, in my opinion. And then similarly, as I continue killing Baron or other mobs with other pieces of loot, I'll repeat that process, and then I wind up with a +5 that much sooner. This is one of those experiences where the more you do it, the more it makes sense. And again, once you get in there, whether it's in the pre-order beta or whether it's on live, and you start looting gear, merging it, using moats, it clicks very quickly. But every piece of gear has a certain amount of experience it has to earn to level up. And the way that you give that item experience is either combining the same item over and over again or using moats to level up that item. So auto looting and auto merging, it's one of those things to where it just takes time to understand the best way, the fastest way, the easiest way, the smartest way to level up gear. Again, auto looting, in my opinion, is a safer option than auto merging until you know definitively what you're doing and how you want to approach it. Another way to look at it is if you're auto looting, everything's just waiting for you to go through it in your bag, and you're not worried about accidentally merging something when you meant to elevate it with a moat. Additionally, let's use earrings, bracers, whatever as an example. Pristine leather bracers that drop in Befallen, if you're constantly auto merging them, then you might be left wondering, well, wait a second, why do I only have 1 pristine leather bracer instead of 2 to cover both slots? Anyway, I hope that wasn't too confusing. I hope that was direct enough when it comes to auto looting, auto storing, auto selling, and auto merging. So a lot of words, but the system makes a lot of sense once you actually get your hands on it. All right, let's talk about something that's going to affect you differently depending upon the classes in your combination here. Targeting specific spells from vendors, especially early on. If you are playing, let's use myself as an example. If I'm a Shadow Knight Cleric Bard, I've got SK spells, Cleric spells, Bard songs. You only have so much platinum at level 5. At level 10, you earn plenty of platinum as you continue to level and approach 50. You'll absolutely have more than enough to buy everything you need. It's not that big of a deal, but early on, you want to make sure that you are buying, if you're a Cleric, your undead nukes, your AC and HP buffs, Yalp. If you're an SK, your pet comes into play at some point in time, although it's not that good. It's an SK pet. You can have your life taps. You've got things like Grim Aura, attack buffs, Vampiric Embrace. That's a little bit of a life leech there. Bards, of course, have great songs. And then they have songs that don't do anything whatsoever for leveling. So figure out what spells and what songs matter, not only to you personally, but to your leveling experience. Spend your platinum on the ones that matter most and ignore the rest until you can afford to buy them all just to get them off the vendor. By the way, this would be a great time for me to plug a spreadsheet that I talked about in my first video. It's very rough right now, bare bones, hasn't been fleshed out at all. But the guide I'm talking about, it can be found in the description below, and it's going to cover things like getting started, recommended AAs, Again, targeted spells, what I just discussed, and a whole lot more. And it should be something helpful for you to have on another monitor that you can access, that you can check on if you ever run into a situation based on whatever you're playing, whatever you're doing in the game. So anyway, it's very much a work in progress. You can check it out below, give me some feedback, that kind of stuff. All right, so here's a big one. You just hit level 20, all right? And you're a caster, and you've got your 5 schools of magic: abjuration, invocation, evocation, etc. And one of them is going to specialize as you play. Which one matters? In my opinion, evocation. What is evocation? What's a specialization? All this fun stuff. All it means is that once you specialize in a magic school, there's a mana reduction whenever you cast a spell. What spell am I casting? Me personally, in my build, more than anything else? Nukes. I'm nuking like crazy, baby. So what matters is evocation for me. I want a mana reduction on my nukes. How do you determine what school of magic your spells use? Hover over it. Check out the tooltip. Since I'm a cleric and I'm constantly casting undead nukes, evocation matters because that's the school of magic that undead nukes fall under. So I want a mana reduction on the spells that I'm casting more than anything else. Does that mean that specializing in other schools of magic is bad? Like, what is it, alteration for heals? No, of course not. You're going to want to specialize in all of them, and there is an AA that lets you do that. But early on for leveling, if I'm, if 9 out of my 10 casts is an evocation spell, I want the reduction there. So figure out what you're casting more than anything else, probably evocation if you're a caster, and lock it in. How do you lock it in? Once you hit 20, spam the crap out of that spell. If you stand there, and let's say you wanted to do alteration, and you wanted to specialize in alteration, your healing line more than anything else, you're just going to stand still for a minute, and you're just going to spam your heal until you hit level 51 in specialized alteration. For me, because I want to specialize in evocation, as soon as I hit 20, I'm going to run up to a mob, and I'm just going to spam the crap out of it. And I'm going to rinse and repeat that, mob after mob after mob, until evocation has hit 51, 52, 53, so on and so forth, in the specialized evocation line. And that matters because whatever reaches 50 first in that specialization track in your skills window, that is what is going to lock in for you until you unlock your AAs to unlock more. So figure out what you want to specialize in, get that mana reduction. That way it makes leveling easier and faster, and profit. Now, let's talk about leveling through the world. As of the recording right now, for me, it's June 25th at 3 p.m. Central, okay? We have Blackborough, we have Befallen, and we have Najina. Those are the 3 zones that have been revamped. I live in Befallen as a cleric. I am just nuking the absolute crap out of undead, as I've mentioned before. Now, that said, the Dark Elves at the bottom of Befallen, they are not undead. That's okay, no big deal. But the reason why I choose to go through Befallen is I love the undead factor as a cleric, but I also love the loot, the pristine leather, Baron's Blade, the shimmering stiletto, ruby stiletto, whatever it's called, from Corvin. The amount of gear, the quality, the caliber of gear, the stats, oh my goodness, it's fantastic. Does that mean that Blackborough and Najina are bad? No, of course not. But I'm locked in, baby. I want Befallen because of the undead factor and the loot that drops there. I can tell you right now, if you're doing what I'm doing and you're leveling your wizard to 23 and you're dropping it, and leveling your druid to 25 and dropping it, and then leveling your main trio to 50, and you leave Befallen around level 25 to 30, your pristine leather gear, your Baron's Blade, your dagger off of Corvin, I guarantee you, it will be a +5, if not a +6. I know this because I'm literally wearing that gear right now at a +5, +6, and even in the case of my legs, a +7. And that gear will carry me into and through early raiding. So if you care about the min-maxing of leveling and getting geared and whatnot, knowing what you're targeting, knowing what you need in your build can help you tremendously. I know that as a Shadow Knight Cleric Bard, getting those 2 weapons at the bottom of Befallen is huge. It has made leveling through Lower Guck a breeze. Also, Necromancers and Shadow Knights bone chips drop like candy out of Befallen. So keep that in mind. Ultimately, you just need to figure out what you want out of each zone. And maybe you don't care. That's totally fine. If you want to go through Unrest or Crushbone or Upper Guck, do it. Have fun, man. But for me, I know Befallen is where I want to be because of the loot that drops and the benefit of being, cleric versus undead. Also, do you want a group or do you want a solo? For me, I'm a solo player, so it just makes sense to prioritize that undead damage, as I keep mentioning over and over again. However, if you want to group with other players, or maybe you're not a cleric with undead, then go into a place like Black Burrow, that's totally fine. There's no benefit in killing those skeletons and mummies and whatnot, because you don't have a spell line that allows you to just absolutely slap them upside the head. But figure out if you want to solo, figure out if you want to group. If you group, you can kill more mobs, per minute, per hour, but experience a split. Even though loot is personal, and that's lovely, you do earn less experience per kill when you're grouped with people. So you can trade loot around, which is nice with your buddies, with your partner, and that's awesome, believe me, but you do get less experience. Does that really matter? No, probably not. We're just talking about the pros and the cons. I'm just talking about what actually happens when you're grouping versus soloing. If you have friends you want to play with, man, play with those friends. Don't worry about it. There's plenty of time and opportunity to solo in this game if you ever even want to. Now, let's talk about that wizard into a druid into a bard cycle. Just to make sure I'm explaining myself correctly, at character creation, I locked in an Ixar Shadow Knight cleric because you pick your primary and your secondary. From where I sit, having done this a couple of times now, this is what I'm doing. I'm leveling that Shadow Knight cleric up to 5. I'm then booking it to Befallen at 5. I will bind myself at level 10. I think that's when it becomes available, is 10. If you die beforehand, it's no big deal. You respawn in the zone, so there's no running back across the world to get back to where you were. It's all good. At level 10, I am going to origin out, and I'm going to lock in a wizard. Why a wizard? Because wizard carries hard early on due to its heavy nukes. Now, of course, wizard is not the only option, but I'm choosing wizard because of the nukes, but also I want to unlock those rituals. So from 10 to 23, because the last self-port ritual that you get for wizard off of the spell vendor is a 23, but that 1 to 23 push, I'm nuking like crazy as a wizard and or undead mob. Undead mob as a cleric, and then the dark elves as a wizard. I'm slapping mobs around depending upon what their type is. And then along the way, I'm gaining AAs. Along the way, I'm gaining that pristine leather, the Baron's Blade, the dagger from Corvin. And I ended that run at, my gear round +2 or whatever it was, and 20 AAs. And then I origin out, I drop the wizard, pick up the druid. And again, having done this yesterday and whatever it was, I pushed that druid to 25. And by the end of the run, I was at a total of 36 AA. So druid dinged 25. I had earned a total between the wizard and druid, 36 AAs. And we'll talk about the AAs again in a moment. But now my pristine leather gear, my weapons, they're not +1, +2. Now they're +2, +3, +4, depending upon how many dropped, depending upon how many motes I used to combine them. So that first push from 1 to 23 was the toughest. And I did that at a D0. My second push from 10 to 25, I did on a D1, and it was a breeze. And then, of course, now I origined out, I dropped the druid, I picked up the bard, I reset back down to 10, and now I'm playing in D2. So now mobs are worth 40% more than they are at D0. Loot is dropping at a guaranteed +2 instead of only at baseline or +1. So not only am I earning experience faster, not only am I earning AAs just as fast, but now I'm combining gear that much more efficiently and that much faster. And by the time my bard hit 26.8, I wasn't even 27, my Baron's Blade is at a +6, my dagger's at a +6, my breastplate's at a +6, and this is good gear. So the point is, I'm going to front load my build with a heavy damage dealer, and then my second build is getting carried by my gear and a moderate damage dealer in the form of a druid. And my third set, after having unlocked the wizard and the druid rituals, my third set, the set I'm actually planning to raid on, is now being hard carried by that gear. And it's only getting better. So planning out your route like that, if that's the way you want to go, could be beneficial. Maybe you want to rush to 50 and then you'll worry about rituals. Do it. I'm probably going to test that method when the pre-order beta goes live, and then I'll compare the two. Anyway, we'll talk more about that in the next episode. One last little thing I learned, I think just last night, the general vendor in New Seb is also a Parcel NPC. Didn't know that. Fun fact. Maybe you already knew that, but I sure didn't. But that same NPC also sells water, it sells food, it sells backpacks. So as you run out of your newbie water and your newbie food, you can talk to that vendor or many other vendors around the world. You're going to want to buy iron rations. You are going to want to buy water flasks. And again, if you need backpacks for whatever reason, go ahead and buy that. But backpacks do drop from certain mobs, dragons and stuff like that as you play, as you kill, and as you experience the end game. Oh, and something that somebody mentioned in the comments on my first video is that during the tutorial, when you're running around, you can actually collect multiple pairs of the boots. You can have one pair equipped, and you can have another pair in your first any slot, and then another pair in your second any slot. And that just gives you a little bit more AC and a little bit more HP. Nothing huge, but those are still stats that add up, especially early on. AC and HP, can't go wrong. I have not tested it myself, but I believe, based on their response, you turn in the skulls that you get from killing the skeletons around Dead Doug, turn in those skulls twice to Dead Doug to get multiple pairs of boots. If I am mistaken or misunderstood, please correct me in the comments below, and then I'll clarify again in the next video. All right, that's all I got for you guys today. I will be making another episode talking about the Bard and getting through Befallen and getting through Lower Guck and entering into the end game at some point in time in the coming days. I'll be gathering more tips and tricks. If you have anything you want me to bring up in the next video, leave it in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. You know the drill. So my name is Brutal. I will see you in the next one. Two away.
Come on.
Hold on.
Somebody subscribe.
We're up. 1,000 subscribers. That's what I'm talking about, baby. That's huge. What do I get out of it? Nothing but self-satisfaction.